welcome back to Pokemon Y. We're still in Coumarin City, and this time we're going to be making our way towards the gym, which means me not getting lost on the monorail system. But before that, something I said we'd bring up last part that we didn't, because we're not very good at staying on topic or keeping any kind of focus, but our thoughts on Meltan and Melmetal. Chris.
Yeah, it's just awful. It's just, what is it, a Ditto with an unknown's head on? How does the eye work?
I don't fucking
it's
know.
Sort of hovering in the middle, is it?
Well, considering what you said about Ditto, that is what it was, how it was shown in Pokemon Go. Because you'd find this Melmetal in the wild, but then you catch it, it turns out it's a Ditto. Dittos have been spawning all over the place and mimicking its appearance.
So why though?
I don't know.
Right, what I do want to point out is the worst part about that first trailer for me is the art styles that they used in that. You notice how they had Professor Oak on the screen, and he was in the sort of Let's Go. Well, was it the Let's Go style, whereas the researcher on the field was in his own fucking art style, and none of it was cohesive at all.
And they still do that with their trailers.
Why? Like, it looks so bad.
I mean, it is jarring, but I don't hate it. I'm just like, you're showing me details about this Pokemon that I want to know about.
Why they choose to showcase that though? Like, can they?
They must have something better, yeah.
Like, yeah.
I don't know. Like, Meltan for me, I don't like it, but I do like Melmetal.
Melmetal, it's alright. It's definitely far better than Meltan, but...
It's like Mercury Colossus.
Yeah, so as I said to you a moment ago, the artwork for it is far better than the in-game model, because the in-game model comes off as far too solid, whereas the artwork is like, you can definitely tell that is liquid metal.
To be fair, we've seen that in the Let's Go art style, which in itself is not very good.
Yeah, letting it down.
Yeah, so hopefully when we see it in something more substantial, either like a future game, maybe even the anime, hopefully that'll do it a bit more justice, because like the official artwork, as you say, looks fine. I just really like the design. I like the fact that it is a giant fucking metal giant, really.
It's mechish, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a liquid mech, isn't it?
With giant bolts for hands.
Yeah, its Pokédex lists it as the Hex Nut Pokemon, which is funny.
Child.
Well, it's the Hex Nut Pokemon. That's what happens when it uses its PP up.
I despise you so much.
Yeah, but you're in this for life now, you know that.
I could choose to never come back.
No, you can't.
I could.
No, you can't. If the contract don't keep you, the handcuffs will.
There was never a contract, and there's certainly no handcuffs, thankfully.
It's great what you're signed for. But yeah, I'm just doing a bit of loitering around here, because fuck it, this place is pretty. Do you think we'll be getting more Pokemon like in Let's Go, like Meltan and Melmetal, or do you think it'll just be them?
I think it might just be them, or possibly one other.
Because it's not really a true generational leap, is it? So it's kind of weird that they're just adding stuff mid-gen. I believe the evolution method is 400 Meltan candies or something like that, which I don't know how that works. Is that already a Pokemon Go thing?
That is already a Pokemon Go thing, yeah.
So are they just like items you collect, or?
With Pokemon Go, you catch the Pokemon and then you get candy off relating to that Pokemon, and you then send Pokemon that you don't want away, and you get candy of that Pokemon in return.
So how does the economy work? Is 400 likely to be a lot?
That is a lot.
Oh, so you're going to be doing a lot of encountering things.
Exactly.
Grinding, basically.
I think it's like 3 candy for each Pokemon you catch, and then you get one for when you
Fucking
transfer.
hell.
Yes.
My
And
God.
it's more referred to as grinding now, because where does that Pokemon go when you send it away and get a candy in return? So people now associate it more with that Pokemon has been killed and turned into a candy.
Yeah, like that just sounds like a massive time waster just to evolve the Pokemon, which... God, I hate it. I hate time wasting bullshit like that, because that's not skill, is it? That's busy work, that's wasting time.
But with Let's Go, I don't think there's any Pokemon related candies. They are more like attack up and defense up candies.
So useful in battle kind of things.
No, they are used for leveling up, but also increasing specific stats and that. I don't understand it entirely at the moment.
Do you think that's like their way to casualise the whole EV thing?
Probably.
Which I suppose that's not a bad thing, really, given that it makes it more transparent as to what you're actually doing. Rather than, go online, find a list of Pokemon you need to selectively knock out to boost the particular trait you want.
Plus, they need to sort out a way of linking the levels of Go to Let's Go, since you can transfer between.
Do they not sync up then? Is it not like the same level up system?
I don't really know at the moment, because it's like in the trailers they've shown for Let's Go, it's got proper levels, and it also shows off the CP of the Pokemon.
So how does that work in Go? Because I know nothing about Pokemon
The
Go.
higher the CP, the better. Basically, it's just stronger and all that.
Okay.
Yeah, and depending on what the IVs are, the CPs do vary.
This sounds very confusing, and I feel like I'm talking a foreign language here. Am I just not with it?
All you really need to do is just download one of the many apps that show you the IVs of the Pokemon, and then just level up whatever one happens to be the best.
You lost me at download app. I don't do fucking phone games. Like, my phone is like 5 or 6 years old. The on-off button doesn't even fucking work. But I'm too stinky to replace it. It doesn't really run any new apps, I've noticed. There's sort of a cut-off point with Apple stuff, I've noticed, that if you need the newest version of iOS or whatever the fuck, that my phone doesn't support. So there's a lot of apps now. Any app that's been updated recently, I'm either stuck on an old version or I just can't use. And so it's a good thing that I just have no desire to actually use my phone for anything. Otherwise I'd be fucked. Yeah, I'm slowly making my way towards the gym, but we've got to look at everything on the way there, because of course we have. This is my wanting to show off everything kind of instinct kicking in, and I want to talk to everyone. But yeah, I think it's when you get to the gym there that you're going to be interrupted, so I'm just getting all the stuff from around the place first.
Oh, look, reference to Arceus.
That Pokemon that we still can't get legit. Have there been any legit giveaways?
Probably have.
Because what I'm thinking of is that the events in Gen 4, there's no legit way to get the whatever the item is. So you can only get it if it's like the events that just give you the Pokemon. Which it kind of seems redundant them having programmed the events into the game, especially given that they continued doing that in Platinum and whatnot. Even though they still never gave away the item.
I do have a legit Arceus from an event, yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, this was ages ago. I think it was during Omega Ruby.
Ah, so they're still doing them recently then. Was that like a mystery gift one, or was that you had to go to a place?
I can't recall.
Because I really don't like the whole you got to go to a certain shop or whatever.
I only ever get them if, say that there happens to be an event on at the time and my brother happens to be wanting to go to a game, and I'll just be like, oh, could you get this for me while you're there?
So the thing for me is that doesn't make me want to buy anything. At worst, it just means I'm going to awkwardly loiter there with my 3DS. Yeah, like, I don't know, especially physical game shops tend to be kind of expensive these days as well.
It's like typically they give out a code now for the Wi-Fi event.
Oh, so do you have to actually buy something? Or?
No. You can just go up to the till and be like, "Can I have this code?" Yeah, there you go.
So you've got to stand behind all the screaming kids in line anyway. Fun. That's usually why I try to avoid these shops.
I've never been in one where there's been a line of screaming kids. So.
I have. I remember a few times I've been out and like there's the kids who just scream and just make a lot of noise. I don't get on with little kids in general though, so that may be a bit of bias. I have very little patience, so I kind of have problems whenever there's little kids around who just make noise and yeah, I'm not the fan. I'm trying to think. The only times I've actually got not really event things, but like I remember a guy in a shop gave me a Mew back on my Gen 1 game, like that I think he'd got from an event like years ago or something, but that's about it. In terms of what's actually going on in the game, we got the message from Callum in the last part that he wanted to meet up, and we're just doing the same deal again of completely annihilating him, because he's actually kind of weak. The fact that our tool, which doesn't even get the trade bonus, is still above his like signature starter Pokemon level.
Yeah, this game is easy.
This game is very easy if you haven't noticed already.
And even if you don't have a Wartortle or a Greninja, don't worry, someone's already given you a Lapras for free.
Yeah, basically, yeah, you can completely fucking sweep him. But yeah, I will say Braixen is probably my favourite of like that evolution line.
Yeah, I think I'd agree. I mean, I do like Frogadier.
Yeah, Frogadier's okay.
Quilladin's definitely the worst of the three. He definitely got the awkward middle form.
The bowling ball.
Yes, with the horns coming out of the top.
Yeah, like that's the one I picked, but I'm barely fucking using him in this run.
The bowling ball green.
Yeah.
Oh right, yeah. Because the problem is that there's nothing like what it originally sort of.
Well, there's some resemblance.
Quite a lot, like his old body
it's like
shape.
His face gets stretched out a bit, but then it's a lot rounder.
That line is like every shape.
Speak of the devil.
Oh look!
Oh, right.
Don't worry, he's getting out of his awkward middle phase now.
And he's gonna turn into his fucking derpy adult phase.
Derpy?
I don't like the fun evolution here. Like,
Chestnut looks fine.
no, look at that. Look.
That does not look derpy.
Look at his face.
Yeah, he looks pissed off.
You wouldn't want to mess with it.
No,
It's like a tankish.
it looks fine. It kind of looks like bandages in a way wrapped around him. I guess that's meant to resemble some sort of like plant.
Why does he have Executor's legs?
Yeah, that does kind of remind me of
Yeah.
Executor, yeah. Except he could probably kick the crap out of Executor.
Well, if it's an Alolan one, you could just sort of tip it over.
Yeah. It's true.
I wonder if he gets a load of forms with really long legs. You know, something like.
Do you suppose that if it does fall over, it's like it rights its body and then it uses the head that's on its tail now to sort of grip onto something to keep anchor it as it lifts its head back up?
It probably needs some kind of help to get back up.
That's probably the purpose of the extra head.
Yeah, the head just sort of butts itself off the ground and flings it up.
It's like grabs onto like a branch or something nearby, just like, can't, let's lift, there we go.
Yeah, like, please help me, guys.
Oh no, a gust of wind.
The worst enemy of all. No, what happens is that you got Sonic at the bottom pushing it backwards and forwards, and then its heads fall off to give to the cow.
I'm not a big fan of this gym.
Same. Honestly, like it's okay. It's nothing special.
Yeah, it looks nice, but it takes so much time to get around.
Look at this climbing speed.
Yeah. It's just very time consuming. There's a lot of backtracking if you want to get to all of the battles or find items.
Yeah, I forget, are there any mega items hidden in this one?
Nah,
Because I know there are in the rock one. Like, there's one somewhere like that you find in the post game that I think you have to get between a certain time period for some reason because Pokemon loves its cryptic shit.
Yeah, there's a time period when you can search for Mega Stones.
Why?
I don't know.
They keep doing shit like this.
Just make sure you've got a list there telling you where they are.
I will say one of my pet hates with game design are the kind of things where you need to have a guide to know.
Yeah.
That, to me, seems really counterproductive, because, like, I don't have a problem with looking up a guide if something's difficult, if something, like, you're not entirely sure, but if the game's built in a way that that's your only real option, I feel like that's a problem. There's a few games that I've just never really got on because of that, like, the main one for me being fucking Zelda 1. I don't know, have you ever played through and beat that over a year?
No, I have never.
Yeah.
I did once, just on principle. I have a run of it on fucking FC playthroughs that I did. And yeah, that was very much a case of I had the guide open in another window. Just because there's no way you get through that just through trial and error.
To be fair, that back then, that kind of game was meant to last you like weeks. It's like, yeah, it wasn't meant to be straightforward in any way back then.
But the problem with that mentality is that it came with a guide. Like, packed in with it. So they were expecting you to be... Like, at that point, you're not really playing the game, are you? You're just following instructions.
True.
That's, like, the problem with that. I want a game that, like... Even if there are some more difficult extra things and that, like, I think the main game, like, you should be able to figure out what you're doing. And it's a kind of difficult one, I admit, for that kind of thing, because it's a more complex kind of game and you've got limited resources. But when the clues the game does give you are poorly translated so you can't understand what they're trying to say, you know, it kind of shooting yourself in the foot there. But also this is someone who's never that huge on Zelda. I think you've played a few more than I have, haven't you, Steve?
I've finished Wind Waker, Ocarina of Time, Breath of the Wild, Twilight Princess.
Have you got a favourite?
Definitely Breath of the Wild.
I do hear that a lot.
I did really enjoy that. I've got a lot of problems with it after playing it a couple of times. There's definitely areas where it can do with a lot of improvement. So it's certainly not the perfect game, like many others would believe. But it is very enjoyable, especially with the whole exploration aspect and that, and being able to climb pretty much anything as long as you're not in a dungeon.
You see that, Cloud? You can go down. Yeah, what are you going to say, Chris?
I was just going to say, do you play Majora's Mask as well?
I have not played that. I do hope to eventually, but...
I've heard a few people weren't too happy with the 3DS port of that, though. And, like, the main reason being that because they've turned up, like, a lot of the lighting and redone the art style a bit for the 3DS,
right.
Apparently it doesn't really capture the atmosphere that the original one does. Like, this is going from someone who's played neither version, admittedly, but I'm just going by what I've seen. Like, my Zelda experience is very limited. If I've played Zelda 1, bit of Link to the Past, bit of Breath of the Wild, but, like, they haven't really grabbed me as much, like, as a lot of series would, or as they do to a lot of people.
I'd say my second favourite out of the four that I played would probably be Wind Waker. I really enjoyed the exploration in that game as well, because I just loved sailing in the open seas. It's like, yeah, people will be like, oh, but it's so empty and that, but that just kind of makes it feel a little bit more real and that, because it's like, it's an open sea, and not every island is going to be right next to each other.
Like, the sailing from what I've seen, that looks kind of comfy.
It is, and the music that plays in the background, it's like, it's so upbeat and adventurous. It's like, I could do this for ages. It's just so pleasant.
Like, it's sort of someone who doesn't like swimming, doesn't really like water that much. Water in games to me is like so like cathartic and calming and just relaxing. I will say one of my favourite games that I've ever played, Absolute, like the game where you swim around in the water, like you are just sort of swimming, you are just sort of following this like world along, but you know, it's just so relaxing, so chill. I just play that whenever I want to just wind down from something. It's like an hour long and it's just, I love it. one of the things that just water in games, it's either really relaxing or really threatening.
It's like the water in Wind Waker is definitely relaxing, especially with the art style, because the game is gorgeous.
It really is.
It is so pretty.
I love that sort of cut out, sort of cell shading.
Yeah.
Because like even in the HD version, like they gave it a bit more depth than the GameCube one, but it still kind of carries that look, doesn't it? Which I do like that a lot. Yeah,
it's pretty old, isn't it? And that's the one that sort of has an age because it's in that style, isn't it?
Games with a like cut out art style, they never age, do they?
Yeah.
They look as good today as they did years ago.
They're kind of ageless. They're immortal aesthetically.
Like there are a few games like that now that have like coming out like over the last couple of generations that I think are gonna hold up as well for the same reason. Obviously, Absu, as I mentioned, Journey's the other one. Like Journey just looks fucking beautiful, and that will still hold up in a couple of years. Won't it? Like that will be years down the line, and that will still have the same charm to it, even if like we're expecting higher resolutions by that point.
Twilight Princess is definitely the opposite end. It's like it looks good, it looks fine, but it definitely is gonna age. It has aged very badly because I mean it doesn't look hideous by any means, although it does look hazy in the original versions on like the Wii and GameCube and that. But the Wii U version, they've kind of just upgraded the textures and that. It's still jagged and that, but you can still look at it and go, it's fine.
What was the reception like to the Wii U version compared to like the GameCube and Wii ones?
It was just, it was accepted. It was just like, yeah, it's good. Still Twilight Princess, and it's flipped round now, so Link is left-handed again.
Yeah, so they based it on the GameCube one rather than the Wii one, which like I get why they flipped it, you know, because a lot of people playing that are going to be right-handed. So
yeah, I still really enjoyed Twilight Princess, and I did like the wolf sections. I thought they were fine.
Fucking furry.
You're an idiot.
Okay,
yeah,
but what do you think of Sonic Unleashed?
That's sad.
Different kind of werewolf.
That's a different thing. That's a bad different.
Here's our boy Blastoise. Blastoise is fucking cool, isn't he?
I wish the cannons were wider though.
Maybe.
They're just too thin for my liking. I always imagined him being like big cannons.
He's trying to make Mega Blastoise so he'll be more impressive, can't he?
Probably. Because in the artwork, often enough, Blastoise's cannons look far more imposing than that.
Like, I seem to remember in the Gen 1 Sugimori art, like, the cannons looked a lot more threatening, and like he had a more threatening pose as well.
I suppose leaning forward, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was sort of leaning down like he was just gonna fire at any fucking moment, weren't he?
These ones, they look more narrow. Like they look like they do a lot of damage, and they definitely look like they can do distance now, but...
Got sniper Blastoise.
Oh, Sniper Blastoise, that'd be fucking incredible. Like, having a Blastoise for different kinds of weaponry. Like, I suppose you got, like, for your melee attacks, you got Greninja with these, like, shurikens and that. Like, what else could you get? Like, fucking... Like, having a machine gun water Pokemon, that'd be lit.
Well, to be fair, Remoraid is technically based off of a gun.
Well, yeah, but they sort of changed that a bit before the final design, didn't they? Why the fuck has he got a jump off? They're useless.
It's a grass type, and they're not entirely terrible. They are very fast, and if they put you to sleep, you are dumb.
Yes, but how do you think he's going to fare given what he's against here?
I know.
So... Yes, folks. Opinions on Mega Charizard X, Chris.
Really cool. Yeah. Brilliant colouring. Yeah. Just.
Is it a lost for words?
You give your opinion first.
Fucking cool. Like, he may be the Deviant Art Pokemon, but fuck it, I like the Deviant Art Pokemon.
I like Charizard X. I do really like it. And plus, Dragon type, gotta love it even more. But there are just some things about the design that irritate me. And it also is to do with Charizard Y. Because, honestly, Charizard Y is the better design. It looks far more like an evolution of the original Charizard.
You mean the shape of it is
Yeah,
better?
it's far sleeker, it looks more adapted to flying, which is the whole point of Charizard, because it's grown its wings, it can now fly, so being more adept at that makes sense for the progression of the design. Plus you've got the extra horn on its head, which again relates to the evolutions, and there are some things with both of these designs that feel like they've gotten mixed up. And it's also to do with their Pokédex entries, because Charizard Y says that its flames have become far more hotter and more powerful. Yet, if that were the case, really, the colour of its flames should be blue instead of red. Charizard X should have the red flames because that hasn't gotten the special attack increase. That's got an physical offensive increase.
See, the thing is, like, in terms of the design, I know you're critiquing these from a design perspective, which, what you're saying does make sense. Like, I do have to concede that, despite X being my favourite here. My thing is that Mega Charizard, what I want from a Mega Charizard is I want the thing that I thought would be fucking cool as a kid. I describe it as the DeviantArt Pokemon. That's literally what it is. It is take Charizard, turn it up to 11. And that's what Mega Charizard X does. Mega Charizard Y is adapting Charizard more. And like, I get why, technically speaking, that does the job better. I just prefer the fucking Super Charizard.
I can understand that point as well, because at first, when I first saw it, I thought, my god, yes, Charizard is a dragon type, and that was what won me over, really. Plus, I do like the colour scheme. But also, I think that's also a weakness to its design as well, because Charizard's shiny form is black and red, and that's an amazing colour scheme for Charizard. And then Charizard X, it feels too easy to get that colour scheme. I love the blue in its design, but it's like, I feel like that would have been more rewarding as a design if it was the shiny form.
I feel like they might have had the two forms because people would be split on what they want from a Mega Charizard. Because, like, to put this into perspective, I want, like, a Mega Charizard to be silly. Like, put it this way, if I were designing a Mega Charizard, not only would he be black and have blue flames, he would also be 10 foot tall and have a glowing aura. So, like, you know, that's kind of the direction I would take it from. And, like, I think they would know that people would be split on this kind of thing. And so there's the alternate option of what is just a more buff Charizard. And it looks more sleek. It looked like it would be a more practical thing as well, given that he's lost a bit of his belly as well and he can probably fly better. Although I do like Charizard having a bit of belly to him. That's a bit of character that I like.
It's like, that's the thing that I also like about Charizard X, because it looks far stockier than Charizard Y, which fits the whole physical attack buff. I mean, granted, it looks pretty much the same body-wise as Charizard, regular Charizard. All it's gotten is the addition of the spikes on its shoulders and the different shape of its wings, which also is another problem I have. I'm not a huge fan on the wing design for Charizard X. It's far too feathery designed, in a way. And that would have matched more with Charizard Y, because the point of its Pokédex entry in that is that it's better at flying now. And Charizard Y has this more jagged design, more battle-worn, which would have fit more with Charizard X.
Well, I suppose if the dinosaurs could have feathers, then dragons can as well.
Yeah, but that doesn't fit as well.
This is the different levels of critique the two of us are bringing to this design.
I feel like there should have been parts of their designs that should be switched over, and then they'd both be perfect in their own right.
Fair one, I guess. We're probably not going to settle on this much, but ladies and gentlemen, join us next time where we'll be going towards the Kalos power plant, which unfortunately does not have a Zapdos lurking outside. We'll see you then.